Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. In the previous combat video, we talked about one of my biggest concerns with games design, and that was combat. I've always put it off. I've never really been good at it. I can do most things I need to do, but combat was always the really tricky thing I didn't know. Specifically hand-to-hand weapon-based combat, not like shooting and stuff like that. And I talked in that video on how I decided to sit with Combat Fury. I'd already purchased it previously, and I was working with it, I was learning the system, and I was going on with it. And I was adding it to the game. It took a bit of time to add to the game and plug it all in, but then we, for the most part, got it working. I said at the end of that video, I was going to go through and convert all of Combat Fury to the gas system, because I used the gameplay ability system, so all the attacks, all the damage, all the inventory stuff needs to be managed by my existing system. It was a lot of work, but at the time I just thought, okay, I need to set on a combat system. I didn't want to jump between them all. And there's where I ate my words. So we're going to see what I've actually done since then. So let's get started. So I did say in that video I didn't know which combat system to use. There were so many on the market, and there's some bigger ones that everybody knows. Everybody's kind of heard of Combat Fury, or there's some lesser known ones. And I for all intents and purposes, I did intend on staying with Combat Fury, because I'd used it previously and I was hoping to convert it over. But after the video, when I said I was going to look at converting it over to gas, quite a few people did reach out, so thank you to every single one of you that did. But the most common thing that everybody said to me, and I even researched this and found it out myself, was Combat Fury wasn't designed to be put into gas like at all. It's its own system, which is not a problem with Combat Fury. If you're starting a game fresh, it's a great starting point. But for me, I'd be ripping more out of it than I would be just making it myself. But that was a big step. I didn't want to jump into that. So, one of the developers reached out, JY, thank you for your suggestion, and he suggested I look at getting ComboGraph. Now, ComboGraph is an older plugin in Unreal, but it's a combat plugin framework, essentially, but without any of the fluff of it. So it's not got an inventory system, it's not got an item system, it's not got any built-in things. It's kind of like a ground level, follow the tutorial, here you go, work with it. So I've been working with this on and off for a few weeks since that video now, trying to get used to it. And whilst I'm not there yet, I'm progressing so much more using this than I was trying to undo everything Combat Fury had in it. So after a bunch of time, this is what I've came up with. I'm just in the normal gas sample, that's where I've added it. I've got my basic enemies here. They don't move yet, it's entirely down to what I've coded in. But using animation packs I've put together, all the combat system, I've got this together. So I can lock onto an enemy, I can switch between them, and then I can run up. And then he dies, and it switches to the next enemy. I can unlock, I can run up, I can punch him in the middle. There we go. You can see combat is there. I've still got a lot of work to do on it, but this is a system I know very, very well. It's all fully gas integrated. Yeah, it's not the greatest at the moment, but it is indeed working. That's the system I've gone with, and it's a lot easier to use, and it's all built in using gas, so I can plug it into my system very easily. Again, that's not saying Combat Fury is a bad thing. My game's just far too far along for me to actually build it in. So I've got this basic attack here, and all I do is find the ability which has the tag of my current weapon, I get it, and then I tell it to execute that ability. That's it. Is my melee gameplay ability, and all this does is when it's called, or when it's called from an event, it commits the ability if you've got any stats on it, it tries to motion warp if it needs to, and then it runs the combo graph, which we'll look at in a moment. The combo graph simply gets my character and stores the current node so I can change what I'm executing. It comes down, when the combo ends, it removes the hit reaction ability, otherwise it tries to motion warp in between each ability, and it slows time down just a fraction, just to make it look like it's dealing some damage. And when it ends, it just removes the motion warp and removes the current graph. The combo graph looks like this so far, super basic for the punching. All it is every time I click, 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 it does punch, then it finishes off with a counter. That's it. Something super basic for now to try and get used to it. And that's essentially all I've done really with it at the moment. I've got the different reactions and stuff for it. I've got the nice sword and shield that I was attempting with different animations, so it slashes, stabs, and then I've got a kick if you've got a shield, otherwise it'll slash with another one, trying different combos with it, but I'm just trying to learn it and figure it all out at the moment. But the key thing is, I've got further creating this than I did in my game with the Combat Fury because it was so integrated. On this one, I had to add the triggers to pick up things up. I had to add the enemies, I had to do everything that's already in my game, which is good because it means I don't have to rip loads of things out. It's like the damage is handled here, so when there's a collision, it gets the current target, otherwise selects a target, tells them to play the hit gameplay event, and says which reaction to play, either light or heavy. Heavy pushes them back more. So in my melee jab reaction, it pretty much does roughly the same thing, but it plays a hit flash to make them glow a little bit. It waits for a little bit, slows time down so they react a little bit slower. Checks if they're dead, then knocks them down or just plays a hit reaction. So that's all built in nicely. I've got my new lock-on system, so I'm using Epic's new targeting system that they introduced in, like, I think Unreal 5.4 or something. So I've got Q, Enter, and E at the moment, placeholder keys, but essentially Enter locks on, Q and E switches targets. But all of this logic here literally just cycles targets, that's it. I've got my target selection here, so it selects an enemy and doesn't select a random box or something at the moment. It selects the enemy, so it puts a draw box around them, and it also checks for distance, so if I get too far, it removes it. I've also got the camera tick, so it locks onto the enemy and keeps my camera focused. So that is when I start the game, I can lock on and I can basically cycle them up. I need to put a strafing animation on my character, absolutely, you know, for the sword and shield. But essentially, yeah, it's getting there. I absolutely need to do more work on the animations and the particles and the sounds. But I can lock on, he dies, you know. But it's getting there, that's the key thing. And it feels like a system I can push more into my game. So that's what I'm planning to do at the moment. I know everybody might have their opinions on what system they think's the best. Some people will say, you should have gone with Ninja Combat, it's newer. I don't know. I haven't got the time to try every single system out for months to see if I prefer it or not. I tried Combat Fury. It's good for what it is. It's going to be too much work for me to integrate into mine. So ComboGraph, I've tried that. I really like this. This was a big selling point for me, the fact that you can just link it all together here. No data tables, no behavior trees, nothing weird like that. It's a nice custom editor, which I really like. The only thing I don't like about it so far that I'm still trying to get used to is it feels like it's old. It works, but it feels like it's a bit older because you don't see many people talking about it. Like if you Google combat systems in Unreal, you get every other combat system before this one. But yeah, the Discord's been very helpful. They've helped me out every time I've posted an issue with something, trying to figure something out. I've had to make one slight modification to the C++, and that's because on my character, as far as I'm aware, I never found any way around it. You could only have one socket tracing your character at once, and that was typically you trace the entire sword or, you know, something like that. But I'm doing melee combat, so I need two tracers. So I've had a different socket so you can elbow them and stuff like that, and it still traces. So I had to modify the C++ just ever so slightly, that instead of searching just for weapon, it searched for anything starting with the word weapon, and then I can trace all sorts now. Whether or not there was something else in that, I don't know. But yeah, that's the system I'm going with, this time at least, who knows. But I generally just don't have the time to try every single system out there, because they'll all have their benefits. ACF is a huge plugin, but it's got so much in it I don't need. Narrative Pro is pretty much my entire game, but I've already got my entire game, so I don't need to go with that. And yeah, it's a big thing just with getting into games design entirely, is picking the right plugin with the sea of different plugins out there, really. So yes, I've settled with this one. I absolutely need to keep trying with it and get some good animations, sounds, and stuff like that. But it's been fun. I've enjoyed doing it, and I'm looking forward to continue doing it. There are still some things I don't know how to do with it yet. Like, what if I wanted abilities? So in the middle, I do that by default, but if I have a special ability, then I do a different one. Maybe as a skill upgrade. I don't know how to do stuff like that yet. Got to figure stuff out like that. But to build entire combos and have this really nice workflow, I think it's going to be really cool. So there we go. So there's a slight update to the combat system, changing to ComboGraph. I'll leave a link to ComboGraph in the description. It's not sponsored. They didn't send it over. I got it. Another dev showed it me off, said how good it was, keeps sending me updates, so I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And yeah, it's good, it works. It feels like Ninja Combat is along the same lines as this, but I don't believe that has a custom editor like this. I don't know, I could be wrong. But yes, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. So a small update for the combat system, but it's something I'm enjoying pursuing, and hopefully if I crack it and become more confident, I can start rolling more combat stuff out, because that would be really cool. Whether it's tutorials or just updates into my games, really. Because my main YouTube game is going to have a lot of different combat variants in it, essentially. You've got the sword and shield, you've got a spear, you've got a bow and arrow, you've got a dagger, you've got hand-to-hand combat. You know, there's a bunch of different ones that I want in the game. Nothing super advanced. We're not talking like Tekken in an open world 3D game or anything, but just slight variations here and there, you know. Think of Fable when you're changing your weapons or something. But yes, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope the update was entertaining either way. Let me know below, if you're using a combat system, what combat system are you using? Did you create one from fresh, or are you using a plugin? And what things in games designers is your kryptonite? Let me know below. I'm sure we can all help each other out a little. So thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this video was mostly entertaining, but rather a good dev update. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.